Okay, lost the last stream there. Game crashed as I thought it might do. And let me just get my chat and things all where I can see them. Right, here we go. Right, that was annoying. I'm just going to get underway with the setting up stuff. What one was it? It was that one, wasn't it? Right. Hooray, we got on without it crashing this time. Fantastic. So, let's just get a quick setup done, get the brakes charged. There's going to be lots of these. Hooray, you did a thing for the first time messages again. Lights on. Put that on. Now, I'm going to leave PZB in mode M because I think it actually has enough braking force available to it for that to work. I've done it in mode U a couple of times and I felt like I had way more time in my pocket than I maybe needed, so we'll give it a bash in mode M, see how we get on. Brake test. Crashes new. It's only happened to me when I've tried to do more than, like when it happened to me once before under exactly the same circumstances, 2 passenger runs then a freight run, and only on this route. So I don't know if this is another case of they broke something with a fix or what. I kind of expect something not to work properly after each big release now, to be honest with you. It's just kind of where we are with it. I just need to bear that in mind going forward. I need to sort of plan these things a bit further ahead rather than just, I'm going to fire up the stream and just sit and do loads of stuff. So there we go, we'll get the PZB on, brakes should be charged. What have I forgotten to do? I don't think I've forgotten anything. Guesswork, Samson, mostly. Trial and error. What I know is that all the trains, the freight trains on Ruhr Sig, can be run in mode M, except for the coal trains, which have to be run in mode U. Main Spessart ban, they're all set up, the braking on the vans is all set up for mode U, apparently. I saw that on one of the developer streams. This seems to sit somewhere between Ruhr-Sig and main Spessart, and so I've done them in mode U. As I said, I felt like I had way too much time in my pocket sometimes, so we'll give it a go in mode M and see what goes wrong, if anything. It's not the length of the train. This isn't a particularly long train anyway. It's not necessarily the weight of the train, it's the braking force that you have available to you that decides it. And this is something that the game is terrible at, is telling you really important information, like what braking force you've got available to you. So I'm basically doing this through trial and error. Let's just get the, we'll get underway anyway. I've switched everything off, yep. So mode M monitoring, we start at 1000 Hz monitoring at 45 kilometers per hour, as is the self-check monitoring. I don't think there's anything to acknowledge there. Now what you have to be aware of, I'll slow down a little bit so that I've got time to talk a wee bit as well. What you have to be aware of coming out of Hagen is that there is a signal that does not have any lights. On the left hand side up here you're going to see one of those, it's the white marker board with the black cross on it that you normally see attached to a signal mast. There's one on its own up here at the side of the track, and you have to remember to acknowledge it as you go by, because it is for a non-semaphored or a non-telegraphed signal up ahead. We'll see it just coming up here somewhere. Can't remember how far up it is. There it is there on the left. You have to acknowledge that as you go past. Sorry, it's not that one there. It's there, it is there. That has to be acknowledged as you go past, puts you into 1000 Hz. So we're actually okay to pick it up a little bit. 500 Hz start, we should be, it's 50 kilometers an hour maximum, reducing to 35. We'll just keep it nice and slow for the purposes of this though. We're not under any particular timetable here. James Pershing, hello, welcome. Thank you, thank you. Good to see you. I always try my best to do something a little bit informative rather than just sit and blabbering to myself. So, always nice when to hear somebody found something that was of some interest or some use. So what we're looking out for up on the left, and it will be where you would expect to see a signal according to this thing up in the right hand corner here. You won't see a light, you'll see a little trapezoidal notice board instead. And you have to stop just short of that and then telephone the signal box. Now this is the Hagen avoiding line. This is for goods trains heading west out of Hagen. It means you don't have to go through the station basically. And it's a single track two-way line, so it's used by traffic coming into the yard as well as out. And at this point you would be sort of expecting to see some lights appearing up ahead, but in actual fact what you find when you get there is the lines just to the right here are signalled. There we go, we can, oh, I can certainly see them. I don't know how clear that is on the stream. But the board we're looking for is directly next to that signal gantry anyway, so you've got a pretty clear landmark. And we've now gone into 500 Hz monitoring, so I'm just going to bring the AFB down to 20, because when we get underway again we're going to want to be under 25 anyway. going up a hill, so give it the juice it needs to do the climb. And you can see there on the left, that white notice board is the one I'm talking about. So we need to stop about here. And then what you need to do, it's really important you remember to do this, is you have to remember to contact the signaller and get that message. Once you've got that, you can go. Now, I don't know if you need to use the bevel button as you go past. I always do, so we're going to try it without just to see what happens. Yeah, so what you would need to do is you should hold that button down, the override button, as you go over. If you hold that button down as you pass the signal, you will be allowed to go over the 2000 Hertz magnet without getting that uncommanded stop there. That was the first time I'd ever tried it without. So follow that procedure and then come out with the override button pressed and you'll be alright. Hi Andy, good to see you, man. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I took something of a break from Train Sim after they broke some bits of it, and around the same time I bought a Nintendo Switch, which led to me not being on the PlayStation at all very often, but back up and running again. Dovetail have redeemed themselves a little bit with the last two packs, I think. Right, so we can pick a little bit of speed up now because there's no monitoring going on. Now what we do have to bear in mind as well is that we have not seen an actual signal mast up to this point yet, so keep your eyes open ahead. I think we're going to have green for this. This junction is actually, I think that junction is actually a 60 km/h junction if you need it to be. So straight away we're running into a expect reduced speed warning. Not a big deal. Just remember to acknowledge it. And we'll just make sure that we're going slowly enough to react to whatever we see next. Shouldn't be any S-band traffic interfering with us because that's on a completely separate line until we get up to Schwelm, I think it was called. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's, yeah. How to embarrass a gobshite into silence. One easy post. So that's a distance signal, doesn't need acknowledged. The next one's a main. Now the main is at reduced speed. But the distance is clear, so again shouldn't need an acknowledgement as we go past. The reason we've got that is these are basically holding us down to 60 km/h because there's junctions ahead that we're going to go across, and then once we're crossed onto the main line we can open it up a bit. There we go, onto the main line, and as always we just need to wait for the back end of the train to clear the points and then we can go. I took a bit of a break, James. They really badly broke TransPennine with an update before 2020 went live. It was broken to the point where every time you went near Miles Platting, the game crashed every single time, and that was my favourite route at the time. And I felt that the Amtrak DLC they released was really, really undercooked. Felt a bit robbed by that, as I've just mentioned as well. I then bought a Nintendo Switch within about a week of that happening, and found myself nowhere near my PlayStation for about the next month and a half. But I'm getting back into it now, so there will be more content. It might not be as intense as it was earlier in the year, but I've not abandoned it completely. So line speed's 150, but because we're under modem monitoring, our absolute max is 125. And of course, give yourself a little cushion so you don't accidentally set off PZB. So this is the 185.5. As far as I can tell, identical in every way. Let me just pop back in to see the signal coming up. Identical in every single way to the 185.2 that we're used to, except they've peeled all the red paint off it. It's operated by a private company. German railways are largely state-owned and state-operated, but there are some private commercial operators who run freight services. They tend to run more ad hoc services than the Deutsche Bahn themselves do. So they're not an entirely uncommon thing. I think this particular company owns a fleet of about half a dozen of these things that they use in the Rhineland-Westphalia area. But as I say, other than the cosmetic difference, it appears to be exactly the same in every single way. I certainly haven't noticed any differences in cab. Still to a degree learning this line as well, so I will spend, as I always do with PZB, I do, I'm afraid, spend most of the time in the cab rather than looking at the world go by. Although there does seem to be quite a lot, it's quite busy trackside. There's a lot going on, and I never see most of it. Thanks, Samson. I definitely am not going to abandon the channel outright. That was never really on the cards. I just got really peed off with it and thought, yeah, why should I be giving them any publicity when the damn thing don't work? But I cooled off a bit, came back and tried some of the new stuff. Quite happy with it by and large. And of course still have to look at what's it, the Peninsula Corridor at some point. There's quite a bit to do on that. I'm not sure how much variety I can wring out of this. I mean, there is a lot to see trackside, but there's a lot of services, but a lot of repetition. And again, you could argue that for... Oh, there we go. You even get points for using the horn. You could argue that about just about any of the routes on this, I guess. So the freight trains are quite straightforward actually, because it's point to point. There's no shunting activities or rearranging the train as far as I can find so far. It's all just point to point. No banking or anything like that going on along here. But This I think is going to be a very good DLC if you've only got limited time. If you've got less than an hour, 45 minutes to play, but you want to squeeze a quick run in, this could be the go-to route for that kind of thing. Which is fine, they don't all need to take an hour to get from one end to the other. And I do like the fact that this is almost 1.5 routes, kind of like Long Island was, because the S-Bahn for a lot of the way is going down a completely different path, somewhere off to the north. Again, all greens, no need to be too ready to jump on everything. You notice some of the signal masts look a little bit different along here. It's not all strictly HV signalling, and they're not K signals either. There's a third type. Germany, as a result obviously of being two countries for a long time, still has a mixture of signalling types from the old East and West German railways. On some stretches of the line there are variations as you go. They all do exactly the same thing, the mastheads look a little bit different. But it can throw you a bit when you're not used to them. I suppose it's no different to, say, Transpennine, where it's a mixture of electric and semaphores. Once you know what you're doing and you get used to it, it's no biggie. But plenty of traffic about. As I said in part 1 of the stream though, I don't know how dependent that is on your other DLCs. If you've got all the German add-ons, you're going to see most of it on here at some point. Ooh, I have done significantly more than 18.5k in this, but never mind. Yeah, totally understand that, Samson. I was, in years gone by, actually a PC gamer who spent ridiculous amounts of money on flight sims at the time. And yeah, I was the same as you. I was waiting for years for something like this to come out. And I've also pretty much bought most of the DLC they've thrown at it. But it's quite good to see this sort of thing coming to the console after all this time. There's obviously a market for it. And I've never thought there was any real reason that they couldn't do it. Maybe some of the flight sims would be a bit much, because, you know, when an aircraft has 100 switches in the cockpit and they're all modelled to work, that could get a bit overwhelming. But trains are certainly not that difficult to do. In fact, I find the control pad, having played train sims on a PC with a keyboard, and having now played them with a control pad, I find the pad actually lends itself a bit better to... It feels more natural to using the bumpers on the back of the pad when you're trying to sort of equate that to operating levers in the cab. And if you want to be a real sado like me, Bus Simulator is quite good as well. I approached that one with some caution because I wasn't sure, you know, again, first time somebody's done one of these, is it going to be good or is it just going to be a bit meh? But aye, it's no bad. They're like trains, but they've got a steering wheel. It's good. Haven't tried Truck Driver yet, but a colleague at work won't shut up about it, so I may dip a toe into that. I may even at some point stream something that's not trains and have a look at the bus simulator. If I'm going to do the bus simulator though, I'll do it once I've spent a bit of time on this account building up the routes and things. Samson will know what I'm talking about, but for anyone else who's not tried it, it doesn't just give you a timetable and a load of buses to drive. It has an element of company building to it as well, and you have to build up from the really short routes to longer ones. So that's something maybe for the future. I am seriously tempted to get the truck one as well, because my pal keeps telling me it's brilliant. No idea why I decided I wanted to slow down to 100k back there, because we're still quite far out from the actual speed limit change. So there you can see we're only 4k out. We're pretty close already. Short route, that's alright, I can live with that. It's fairly straightforward usually with the freight trains, though there's only so much you can do with an A to B main line, I guess. I suppose could cap this off with a quick run back down the S-Bahn heading back to Hagen, because we started off with the S-Bahn coming out, and then that'll have been, oh, there's a PZB. I almost didn't notice that. That was not for the signal, that was for the 60 km/h reduction thing that I drove past, the wee orange signboard. And in fact a further reduction to 40, I believe that will need its acknowledgement as well. Yep, so even though the signal's green, remember to acknowledge the command to reduce your speed even further. If you see a yellow number under a signal mast, times it by 10, that's your new speed limit. And you have to be down to that by the next main signal. We'll do a run by, but expect me to get stopped by PZB or something, because I can't see if I need to acknowledge anything.
Zugbeeinflussung.
This little yellow light came on down at the edge of the speedo there for CFA. We'll just, I'll give it an acknowledge. I'm just going to do it as we go through, just in case. And how about that? It did need an acknowledgement. Have no idea what colour it was, so we're going in blind here. There may yet be an oh shit moment in my immediate future. We'll get it down to 30, and that means that we're inside the requirements of a 500 Hz as well. Oh, wonder if he's waiting for us. No, that's the back of the train, I think. Is it? That red light? Oh no, white light, so he's waiting for us to get past probably.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Just acknowledge the caution as we go by. And we can just coast from here, I think. So we'll go to 500 Hertz monitoring now, but we're okay because we're already below the all the thresholds. There is a very, very handy chart in the manual, certainly for Ruhr Sig and main spec. I would be amazed if they hadn't put it in here as well. A really useful chart you can print out that's got all your PZB speeds on it. And that'll be close enough. Oh, okay, so it wants me to be closer. Interesting. This seems to be their new thing. They want you to stop really close to signals. They did this with the Tees Valley route as well. You have to be basically right up against it, or it won't trigger. Right, okay. We're stopped. Let's try edging a bit closer. This is annoying when they do this. When they make these really narrow stopping windows for you. There we go. I have gone past the red signal at the end of Darlington Station so many sodding times because it's on the floor and you can't see it. But it wants you to stop within a baw-hair of it. Yeah, huge fan of PZB as well. Right, I think I'll do one more dash back in the S-Bahn. We'll go the other way down it. And then it'll probably be time to go and stuff my face. I did not have any intention of doing 3 and about nearly 4 hours when I came on, but how could I not when I discovered all you lovely people are still around and for some inexplicable reason still want to hear me talk about trains. Let's do one in the winter. We'll do a nice clear winter day, I think. So 442, and we want to start at the Wuppertal end. We want to do S9s are just literally to the next station and back. It's like a shuttle service between the Wuppertal stations. And what we want is we want one to Hagen. That'll do. Hey Mohammed, welcome. Nice to see you, man. Hey, this just keeps on. I love this game as well. Too many thises. Shut up, Scott. Even when they break it beyond repair, I seem to keep coming back to it. Okay, so again, you've got about a minute and a half to do your whole cab setup thing. Once you've done it a couple of times, it's not that difficult. So finding that click spot's the hardest bloody bit. What side of the door's on? Left. Oh, shit, no, this isn't one that I need to do the doors, this is one that I need to just go straight to the station. Ah! Okay, I'm not going to turn all the stuff on just yet, because we're just coming from the yard down to the first station. I'll do the switch on when we get to Wuppertal. So you can do some of it. You can have like the passenger lights set up and things before you arrive. And it means all I need to remember to switch on is CIFA and PZB and the destination board. Right. So to set your destination, you want screen 1. I'm going to do this very quickly. Select the FIS. Check the route thing. Press Zugverb so that it sets all trains. It'll turn yellow. It's already set for the one we want, but you just use the up and down arrows to find the one you need. Enter it, and that's you good to go. You've got your destination board set. And the only thing I still need to do is find the PZB and the CIFA switches. And that's us, we're good to go. You can sit and do all that up at the first station where you start, but you'll never make it down here on time if you do. So, setting off under the start-up self-check sequence for PZB. Just one eye on the speed to begin with. And you do have to be careful because this thing accelerates like it's like a racing car, man. Compared to almost everything else. But we saw a green signal earlier, so I can release PZB manually. Yeah, I'd love some LZB, man, that'd be really good. I think we won't see that until I would like to see them bring out an ICE at some point. Somebody did ask them about that on their stream last week, or earlier in the week, and they never commit to anything. They didn't firmly rule it out as impossible either. Personally, I think they're going to try and get steam engines running before they do anything like that. So, as before, the rule of thumb broadly is if you're down to 60 kilometres an hour by the time you arrive on the end of the platform here, you'll have no problem stopping. Just don't stop too short though. This platform's plenty long, but some of them are the length of the train plus 15, 20 metres or so. Doors open. Not a very long stop, so don't get too comfy. This is a 2-car set probably, yeah. Or two unit set. I have a horrible feeling there's something I'm meant to do that I've not done, but Okay, just get ready to lock. Start the lock up a few seconds early so you're ready to actually go at that time. So straight up to line speed. On a nice straight and level stretch, so nothing to particularly keep an eye on here. The S-Bahn line, once we leave the main line, it undulates a lot. There's quite a lot of gradient changes on it, so you do have to just sort of keep one wee eye on that. Probably a little bit too early actually with the brake in there. Yeah man, you can set it to a whole bunch of things. It's not as easy as it is to do on all the other trains with a board. And you cannot do it on, I don't think you can do it on the Talent 2s if you have rapid transit. That doesn't work. But all the other ones, you can change them. In this one, as I showed you before, just go into FIS mode on that screen, and then button 2 to bring up the route information, and then click Zug Verb. It'll turn yellow. If you're zoomed into screen 1, you can read it properly. The up and down arrows to select your destination, and then enter, and that's it, you're good to go. And just put that screen back to we've got nearly 2 minutes, so I'll just do that again for you in the proper mode. So FIS, route information, all trains, get me pretending I know what the German words are, down, up, so you find the one you want, enter to lock it in, and then G to go back to the traction information screen. And all the other trains that are imported in from other routes, they have all the route information updated as well. So the stations for this thing are on there. Just kind of cool. I like little touches like that. Let's have a quick look outside while we're sitting waiting. Yeah, don't really know what to say about it. It's a common or garden railway platform, fairly standard looking station. Right, we better get back inside the cab and get ready to lock up and go. So somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds to go is usually when I aim to, if I've got the time to hit that button. And off we pop. Shit, signal straight away, so brakes on, acknowledge it. These are basically getting us slowed down for I think these are being used to slow us down for switches. We've got a station coming up anyway, so. Oh, cool, man. Don't let the fact you're a beginner stop you from doing long streams, dude. I don't think I've ever done a short one. And I certainly didn't have a clue what I was doing when I started doing this. In fact, I'm certain my early streams are probably absolutely riddled with duff information. Right, so we're arriving within the minute we're supposed to, so we're okay. The scoring system doesn't actually seem to give you that information, that on time or late information anymore. You just get a bunch of points for each stop, but I assume it's still the same as it was before, and as it is in real life in a lot of places, you can be within 3 or 4 minutes and you still count as on time. So just remembering that we stopped under monitoring, so we shall be starting under monitoring. It's the mistake I usually make, is to forget that I stopped under monitoring and just go straight into a PZB stop. And the white S on that notice board to the right, that's just to tell the driver that the route is set for the S-Bahn lines. Ahead. PZB's cleared itself up to 60. But being mindful of the fact that the main signal was set to reduce speed. We're okay if we do hit a 500 Hz magnet, which we shouldn't theoretically. No point absolutely caning it down here. We're making nice time anyway, ish. One solitary dude waiting on a train. Okay. No point getting involved with having a look around outside when it's such a short stop. Pop the camera on quickly. So you can see the platform, not that much longer than the train itself. Some of them are even shorter than that. Annoyingly, the shortest platform of the lot is also on a 3% slope. I've never managed to stop with all the doors on platform yet, if I'm being honest. I think the first time I ever did it was on the first part of the stream heading up the line. And that was kind of a fluke. And there's also one, if I remember rightly, that's on a slight downhill, which barks you a bit as well. So 120, this is the fastest stretch of the S-Bahn line. It is not as quick as the main line is. Don't think there is a regulation. Oh hell, too fast. I'm not sure there are any actual regulations about the use of the horn for the German railway. I know in the UK there is, and that would be useful to have. Right, that was somewhat more aggressive than I maybe intended it to be, but I think a lot of parts of Germany as well, Samson, it would be quite difficult to have that. For instance, we've got regulations about using your horn entering and exiting tunnels. Many hundreds of kilometres of German railway, that would be a terrible, terrible idea to do in the winter when you're driving through mountains with millions of tons of snow on top of them. So I think for all sorts of reasons it is a very, very different state of affairs when it comes to that kind of thing over there. Right, so Schwelm itself, the main station at Schwelm, is where we dive off down those tunnels and leave the main line behind. I don't think there was anything on that one, I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, there's another one that's on a fairly steep incline, and I don't think, yeah, see, there's hardly any room to make a mistake there. It's really, really easy to balls that one up. Thanks, Mohammed, but no, not a professional, just a guy who had far too much spare time on his hands for a few months last year. Or earlier this year, rather. There we go, nice and quick. And off we go again. But thank you for the compliment, Mohammed. It's always nice. Okay, so this is one of the longer stretches actually. They're on to Gevelsberg, a whole 3 kilometres. Hey, I like the tunnels here. They're nice and bright, and you can still see what's going on. They stand in stark contrast to 3.5 miles of darkness at Standage, that's for sure. The Transpennine is still probably my favourite route, but oh, those tunnels do sometimes just get a bit repetitive. And I know that's a really silly accusation to make of any part of a train simulator in particular. This is also a fairly slow stretch of the line, as much of the S-Bahn is. One thing I do find interesting about the S-Bahn and the whole concept of it is that the Germans were busy building all this stuff at the same time as we were ripping up all of our rural railways in the 1960s. It shows you the completely different approach that we both took to the importance of this kind of thing. So it is downhill here, so you will just be kind of dabbing the power handle a little bit. I do like West Somerset. It's a beautiful line, the scenery and what have you. It's slow, and you see one other train the whole time. There's nothing wrong with it inherently. It just doesn't pull me in the same way, but I totally understand why it is so popular, because who doesn't love those old diesels, huh? I can't drive the length of it without breaking the speed limit several times though. You don't have to wait till you hear the noise to respond to C5. If you notice it pop up on the panel or the yellow light coming on, you can clear it straight away. Oh, we're going to overshoot again. Are we going to make it? Right. Let's have a look. I need to know. I have to know. Oh, I just made it. But the back end is, well, you still sort of sat in front of that concrete thing. There's a bit more traffic than I remember seeing last time. Mind you, I've only done really early mornings so far. Oh, lock the doors. Maybe it does get busier as the day goes on. Nah, that was lucky, mate. I was convinced I was going off the end there. My problem is I get good at the level stops and I have the distances to hit my brakes all worked out, and then when I come to do it on a hill, I make a complete mess of it. And I'm also running, oh no, actually we're running more or less okay for time. Doors. Alright. That one was a bit better. I kind of knew where I was going to stop there. Just get ready. You can use the middle one as well to close the doors regardless of what side you opened. Oh, we've actually got a few seconds in hand as well. Lovely jubbly. It's just practice, mate. That's all it is. I just play this far too much. You keep doing it though, man, you'll get it. It's repetition is the best way to learn this. Start off by underestimating. Slow down much earlier than you need to, and then build it up from there. So another short run, less than a kilometre. This is, which of course is the whole point of an S-Bahn. It is just a commuter line. And where I live, there are bus stops further apart than this. Oh, I've overcooked this one. This is where you're about to see me not stop so professionally, I think. Oh, come on, come on. Nope, way too fast as I entered the station. Oh. I think we maybe just rolled the front doors off the end. Just made it. Now see, if I wasn't talking, that would have looked really good, but the reality is that was a complete fluke that I stopped in time. I should maybe shut up when I'm approaching the stations from now on. In fact, I won myself a little bit of time back there as well. Lovely. And we'll just close up the doors. Yeah, it didn't seem to do the same really crazy stuff with the display there when I changed that. I wonder if the brightening. It's like it's going into a different mode. Huh. I shall need to have a play about with that off stream and see if that's a bug or whether that is legitimately something I can be using. Oops, slightly overcooked it there. It's a slight downhill slope here, so you do just kind of need to rein it in a little. What you do have to be careful not to do is to get so absorbed in the speedometer that you ignore the signals and all your other bits and bobs. That's how I nearly overshot the station before. It was because I was paying too much attention to one instrument in the cab. Oh, again. Watch that last kilometre can close in on you a lot faster than you realise. So probably too early on the brakes there. And again, aim for 60 or under as you come on platform and you'll be golden. Oh, we're going to roll off because I didn't allow for the hill. Are we? Nope. Oh hell, getting good at this game. And I think I might have even arrived a few seconds early. Put the privacy blinds down. Oh, I've got a whole minute to play with. Lovely. So again, not a lot to see at these wee countryside stations generally. See if I can spot. There's a new type of collectible for those who are interested in that kind of thing. I'm not particularly, but apart from the destination signs and things, there are. I don't know if that's a collectible, whether you're meant to fix those. I think you're meant to go and fix those. And you'll also see some places. Let's try to see if I can find one. There, the first aid kits need replenished as well, so you can get out and do those. I never bother with them, and I don't have time to do it now. But, if you're so inclined, that's the new things to look for. So less than 10 seconds to go. And let's get moving. So that's the first, there's 3 or 4 Hagen stations, including the main one. So we're almost at the end already. This could be my first time the full length of this line, I think, without an accidental PZB application. Or an application of any sort, because I did kind of mean the one that I got last time. Yeah, time's still pretty nice. Nice. One thing I have sort of started learning to do a bit more as well is when I'm stopping the train, it's really easy to focus on the numbers up here and down here. But if you actually just look out the window and see how far you've got to go, you can see how you're slowing down or speeding up. It does make it a bit more intuitive than just focusing purely on the gauges. The gauges have got their place, but I find that my stopping has become a lot better since I learned to do it by just watching the platform approach. So this might be guarded. There is a magnet trackside. Nope, switched off. We'll just give ourselves a little bit of an extra cushion and need to start slowing down anyway for the 80k coming up. Should have actually done that much earlier, much more smoothly, not to worry. And still all clear signals. We might get some caution signals, what have you, on the way into Hagen, the main station itself. I do like the sort of the additional sound effects as well. Everything they bring, every time they bring a new pack out, they seem to improve that. There's that sort of grinding, humming sound as you go around a tight corner that's been missing before. Oh, I think I might have rolled off the end there. Yeah, there we go, buggered that one up. As happens at least once a trip, I'm too busy talking and not paying enough attention to what I'm doing, so not to worry. You'd probably only break an ankle or something falling from there. That's not too many lawsuits. What's annoying about that is that's actually on a straight and level piece of track. There's no hill involved there. So I think Hagen Weringhausen is the last one before the main station. Yes, it is, because this is the single track approach line into Hagen. The signpost for the speed limit is guarded by PZB. And I think there is an active 500 magnet further down as well, so just be prepared to respond to that. Should be at 65 or under when you pass a 500 Hertz magnet. I can't remember where it is, but I know I have run into one that I didn't expect. Just remember to respond to that signal as well. Now we're going down a fairly steep incline here, so the brakes are, the braking is going to be a lot more tricky. See, this station coming up is the one I expected to roll off the end of. You can see even with the brakes at 1 or 2, we actually still accelerate down here. First time that I've not rolled off the front end of the platform, and I even made it on at the back. Yes. So there we go, live on YouTube, did my first ever decent stop at this one. Yeah, you can get up and wander about, same with all the other routes. I just tend not to do it very often because you don't have that much time at the stations. So we're moving off under monitoring anyway. There's also a reminder that we're going into a 40 km/h zone ahead, so oh shit, the hill got me. There we go, there's the PZB, because I touched 45 km/h, and that was simply, as always, because I was not paying enough attention to it, and the train accelerated a lot quicker than it usually would. Oh, I didn't realise there was a problem with the sound, sorry. Hang on, I can't really do it just now. We're basically at the end anyway, fella. I've been at this for a while, so when I get into Hagen, it's time for me to go and get some food, methinks. So presumably there is a sound glitch I'm unaware of that can be fixed by standing up and sitting down. That's useful information, thank you. Oh, that's because I had the windows open, I think. These trains sound like that anyway. We've got trams here that are very like this train. They're basically this train on a shorter set of bogies and with some bendy bits in the middle. They do sound like that because the engines are actually really, really quiet. So you do hear all the bangs and the clacks coming up through the rails. We're sitting right on top of the bogie. The front bogie is actually quite far forward on this. So I think it is actually meant to sound like that. I know certainly that the ones we've got around here that are very similar to this, you don't really hear much in the way of engine noise, and you hear all the bangs and the clacks and the squeals and stuff. I'll give it a go before I do another run at some point, though, doing that to see if it changes how it sounds. Aye, so apart from those couple of massive spikes down where there shouldn't be massive spikes down, that was no too bad. Oh, 0.39 metres, jeez, oh. Only I could do that every time. Ah, well, there you go. It wasn't a known bug to me, so I've learned something useful this afternoon. I'll bear that in mind if it does happen on any other trains. Like I say, I hadn't actually noticed it. I have to admit as well, I'm using a really crap, cheap pair of earbuds to do this on account of my decent headset being bust. So I'm maybe not hearing all the nuances and things that you guys are. But I'll keep that one in the back of my mind for next time. But I've been at this now for 3.5, nearly 4 hours, I think. So I'm going to love you guys and leave you and go and get some grub. But, thank you very much all for sticking to the end. It's always great to see you guys. Lovely to know that you're all still around and want to hear me talking more about trains, and I will definitely be doing that again much sooner than the 3-month gap there was between my last ones. So thank you very, very much all, and I shall see you again soon. Cheery bye.